We are up and live. Okay, guys, it is what month are we in?
February.
February.
February edition of Quilt Babble Live with Lisa and Rona. So give us all just a second. Steve is out sick tonight, so I'm having to share this over on SewEndipitious. So give me a second while everybody else does. We hope you all are fine and well. As you know, tonight is intro to EQ8, and we have a great panel of experts tonight. Rona is serving as an expert tonight, even though she is my co-host. Hello, Miss Rona.
Hello.
She says hello. I'm hoping I'm posting that over to SewEndipitious. And then tonight we have Miss Nancy McNally, which you guys know. She's been here before. Say hi, Miss Nancy.
Hi. Thank you again for having me.
And then, yes, and then new to Quilt Babble Live is Mr. Scott Flanagan.
Oh, Scott, yay.
So, has everybody got everything shared and we're good to like really start babbling on about our topic?
I think so.
I think so. I have no clue.
Well, I'm looking. I don't think I'm doing a good job on SewEndipitious side. Rona, tell everybody what we're talking about tonight and let our guest introduce herself and tell people how to find us.
Okay, so tonight we are talking about the EQ8 or the Electric Quilt program that is very popular amongst a lot of quilt designers. But one of the misconceptions about the program is it's not just for quilt pattern designers. It's actually great for every quilter, not just designers. So tonight we're going to give you a basic overview of how the program works. We're each going to walk you through a separate section on the program, and you guys can ask questions. And like I said, this is just a basic overview of the basics to show you how you can use the program just being an average everyday quilter, or even if maybe you've been wanting to get into design, this can give you an insight there too. So tonight we have Scott and Nancy. Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So great to be here. Thanks for asking me to be part of the panelists. I'm Scott Flanagan of 4th and Main Designs. I've been working with Electric Quilt since Electric Quilt 5.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I've been with them for a long time. I find EQ8 to be by far the easiest one to work with. I use it regularly, and I'm actually quite excited. This month, my fabric collection, Quilting is My Voice, is the free download fabric collection.
Yay! I already downloaded it.
Yay! That's right, because you're
playing with it.
recoloring something.
Yeah.
That took me a minute to realize what you said. That's fabulous.
So this worked out perfect.
Yeah, it did. So Nancy, for those that have not joined us in the past for one of your sessions, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Nancy McNally of Nancy McNally Quilts, and I think I've been on here, what, 3 or 4 times already? I think at least 3, and this might be the 4th time, I think. So anyway, I'm a quilt pattern designer and a long arm quilter, and I have been using, I started using EQ8 when it was EQ7, and then obviously upgraded. Yeah. So I just kind of stumbled into designing, and before I knew it, here I am today, working my butt off. That's the only way I know to say it. Scott and Lisa know exactly.
Designers do, right? Is work
Yes.
their butt off. I think you were on that episode of Quilt Babble Live about pattern designers.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Yep.
Yep, definitely. Scott, did you tell everybody how they can find you?
No, you can find me on Facebook at 4th and Main Designs, or find me online at www.4thandmaindesigns.com.
And Miss Nancy?
My website, obviously Nancy McNally Quilts, easy to remember because it's my name. And with Facebook, same business name for my business page. And then I have a private group that's called Sew Anyways with Nancy McNally, and that's Sew as an SEW. I'm also on Instagram and Pinterest. I think Instagram, that's funny. I think it's McNally Nancy. I don't look for myself. I just,
Just a
I use
little role
both.
reverse.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, what's my phone number? Let me call it.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
So, and I'm
Um,
also on Pinterest, but I don't do much on Pinterest just because I honestly forget, and that's my fault. Being
that's
honest here.
funny. So, guys, just a reminder for those of you who are watching, Steve is normally our man behind the curtains. As you know, he is out sick tonight. So, if there's a flub on the back end, know that that is my fault. I am going to try to keep an eye on the comments so I can be sending them to the experts. Steve was actually going to be on camera tonight, being our newbie that wants to learn about EQ8, so he can keep all of these experts down on beginner level in case they move on over from intro into the deep thickets or whatever. But I will try to keep them reminding that they need to maybe identify some of their definitions instead of using pattern designer lingo that you guys might not know. So first up tonight is going to be Scott in his segment. And I'm not even going to talk about what Scott's going to talk about, because why? Scott's going to talk about it. So Scott, you go ahead and screen share, and we're going to get this party started, guys.
Okay, here we go. So you download Electric Quilt to your computer. It works both for Windows PC as well as Mac. And then when you open it up, this is going to be your intro screen that's going to come up. And you can choose to design quilts, draw blocks, or work with fabrics. I'm not worrying about the blocks and fabrics. I'm just going to worry about designing quilts. And you've got three options. You can design a quilt from scratch. You can work with a quilt, start with a quick quilt project, or open existing project. So for someone who's brand new, you could start with a quick quilt project. So this is Easy Quilts, and they've got a number of just basic ones that you could open up, print, and go.
Oh, fabulous.
Mhm.
I actually forget these are here until I have to do something like this. And the one I wanted to show out specifically is because a lot of new people to Electric Quilt tend to want to do t-shirt quilts. There's a whole section here of t-shirt quilt ideas.
That's a great point out, because in the shop, it is so funny. People will come in, they'll be like, I've never made a quilt, but I'm starting my first quilt. And then I'll be like, oh, what are you thinking? They're like, well, I'm going to do a t-shirt quilt. And I'm just like, oh God, not your
Well,
first quilt.
I don't disagree with that response.
I'm with you.
T-shirt quilts are not my favorite thing.
Oh.
That's a whole nother episode. Rona, put it on the list. Intro to why not have a t-shirt quilt as your first quilt.
But there's a t-shirt quilt section here to give you ideas. And like this one tells you the size of the t-shirts
Mhm.
you need. So it makes it really simple.
He
For the
says
per-
simple.
I totally forgot that was there too, Scott. I'm glad you did that.
That's why I'm the expert in this category. So for the purpose of today, we're going to go to create a new project. So you create a new project. This is like creating a file in a filing cabinet. So I'm just going to name it Quilt Babble,
Mhm.
and we're set to go.
And can I ask a stupid question?
Yes,
Where did you go to get those already done quilts again? I'm so sorry.
right here on this welcome screen, it says start with a quick quilt project.
Nancy, I'm like you. I've never done that. I just go up and start with my own blank design.
Come to the
Mhm.
bottom where it says t-shirt quilts. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 t-shirt quilt ideas right there for you to start with.
Well, there you go.
He's showing this t-shirt quilt like Lisa's ever going to make a t-shirt. No, I'm glad you did show that, because I'm like Nancy. I really forgot all of that existed there.
So I'm going to come over here where it says open existing project now. Click Quilt Babble. Oh, it's already open. Close out that screen then. And we're going to design a quilt from scratch. This is set up just like your Word program, your Publisher, your PowerPoint. You've got taskbars across the top and some quick reference across the left. The first decision you have to make is what kind of quilt do you want? Horizontal, on point, horizontal strip, vertical strip. One of my personal favorites, I know one of Nancy's personal favorites, custom set. That is for advanced people. So we're just going to start with the horizontal setting for today. Once you pick your horizontal layout, you come to your next tab, which is layouts. And it's going to tell you the size of your layout currently. You can take a tell how many blocks you have across, how many blocks you have vertical. So Rona, just so I feed nicely into your segment, how many blocks across and down are you working with?
I have 3 across, 3 down. Very simple.
Okay. And then I can change the size of my quilt blocks. I can keep them square and do a 12 by 12 layout for simple blocks, since 12 by 12 is a pretty common size. Or you can say it's 12 by 18.
How are
So
you
you can
doing
make
that
those
so
blocks.
fast?
Huh?
Because he's
But-
fabulous. He's the expert in this segment.
I'm like, it's just flashing over here. I'm like, how'd you go from 12 by 12 block to a 12 to 18 block?
So what I found out is a lot of people use
Yeah.
the
I do
scroll
that.
button.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't deal with the scroll. I just type into the box
That's what I do, Scott.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
exactly
didn't know
what I
that.
want.
I thought you had another trick there, and I was like, what is he doing? How did he do that? So, okay, go ahead.
Just type in the sizes you
Sorry,
want.
everyone.
And I know Scott said it, but for those of you that are just dabbling into EQ8, or have never dabbled in EQ8, he is working on finished size of the block.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes. So in all quilt designing, you always work off the finished size of your blocks and pieces, not the cut size or unfinished size. And I know as a designer, I'm a pattern designer, but then a pattern writer, it makes it tricky. I'm sure Nancy and Rona will agree, because you list stuff as both finished and unfinished in your pattern.
Mhm,
Yes.
And it can really confuse people as you're going.
mhm.
But for the purpose of EQ, you're always going to work with the finished size. Then once you get to the blocks, you can choose, do you want sashing or not? So you can add sashing both to the width and to the height. One of the things I really always do is I tell it to keep width and height equal.
Mhm.
It just makes life a lot easier, because rarely are you going to have one width sashing this direction
Right.
and a different width this
Yeah.
direction.
You're correct. Vertical and horizontals.
Correct.
equal.
And you can either slide the taskbars or you can just type in numbers.
And you can also click on the taskbar if you need to just go one position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct. The other option is you have to play with is, do you want to include a sash border?
Mhm.
When you add the sash border, it's going to add cornerstones. So I always think this through when I'm designing. Do I want the cornerstones on the outside or not? If I don't want the cornerstones on that outside border, then I'll just use the border tab to create that frame.
Yeah.
If I want the cornerstones, I tell it to add a sash border. Rona, are you going to be having the sash border on yours?
Nope.
Okay, we'll just get rid of that. From there, you can go over to your tab for borders, and you've got border options. You can make mitered borders, borders with cornerstones. Have your borders have the longest strip on the vertical side, on the horizontal. Have blocks. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it easier. Half drop blocks, space squares, diamonds, half drop diamonds, double diamonds, half drop double diamonds, big and little diamonds.
Those are fun.
Those are the
Mhm.
just say no borders.
Correct.
Lisa.
I avoid
See
the
the big
diamond
smile,
one,
Nancy, just say no.
but the half drop big and littles, this can be kind of fun. This can add a lot of interest.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Oh, I
Um,
like that.
so Scott, I think you said you were with EQ all the way back when it was like EQ5 or something.
Correct.
Prior to that, did you design on grid paper? Because that's that's what I used to do all the time. And when I got into EQ8 and I could just click around like you, I was like, boy, this is much faster than some graph
No.
paper.
I just would take a piece of scratch paper, draft it out, guess on numbers, and wing it.
Yeah.
There was no graphing, no planning until I got to Electric Quilt.
I
That's
was
funny.
definitely the graph paper. I've been doodling on graph paper since I was a kid.
Yes, me too.
Now, I
I
will
love me
say-
some good old graph paper.
From a designer standpoint, I will do a lot of math on scratch paper before I ever go to Electric Quilt. Just so I know my math is going to work easily when I
Yeah.
get here.
Yeah, I can see that.
But let's keep this simple for people since we're beginners. Long horizontal. It is going to tell me with that border what size my quilt is. So 51 by 51. I can say I just want a 2-inch for that. And then I can say I want to add another border. And I want that border to be a 6-inch. And I want to
Just
be
like
minor.
that. Love it.
And I can change those boards. I could change them independently or all together. So right here, you can change lock size adjustments. So currently, if I change something, it's going to change it to all 4. If I unselect all, I can change it just to left and right, or just top and bottom.
So for those of you that are, because I've seen questions asked a lot online about how do I make this quilt bigger? Like this quilt pattern is for a queen size, but I need it for a king size bed. Well, you can use this program and adding the borders where you can actually design your own borders just on the sides to
Mhm.
make the quilt wide enough to fit your bed. So there's lots of different ways that you can use the different size border pieces.
Mhm.
So let's just, do I have time? How am I doing on my 12
You got
and a half
about 2
Lisa?
minutes.
How long, Lisa?
2.
Okay, so let's just grab a quilt that I designed.
Maybe he'll show us something that no one else has ever seen.
No, you've seen this, but I'm going to use it because I can find it quick.
Okay, that is not a beginner design. I'm
No.
saying.
But it's one that I can show online and not get in trouble with my editors.
Oh, this is true. Okay, we don't want nobody getting in trouble.
So currently the quilt is 93 by 93. I
that
could come to
custom made?
borders, add another border that is 5 inches. Why?
I don't know what it just did.
I don't either.
I can add a 5-inch border to each side.
Looks like it's screwing up
Oh,
his.
oh, the
quilt.
all isn't clicked. Did you want all the borders to be the same size?
I did. There we
Okay.
go. And then I could say I want half drop. I want that around the quilt.
Wow.
Mhm.
Maybe that border needs to be a little bit bigger
Yeah. Yeah.
because of the design I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can say I want, instead of 3, I want 5 on each side.
There you go.
And I just took the quilt to 99 inches square.
And I'm
Like
just going to point out to everybody, he has been talking for 12 minutes, 13 minutes. And you see how easy it is to spend an entire day down the rabbit hole of
It's
EQ8.
a very bad rabbit hole to go down.
Mhm.
You may
Oh,
not
but
get
it's
any
fun.
sewing done, only design.
But it's so much fun. It's so much
It is
fun.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
One of the key things I'm going to tell everyone right now is every time you make a change to a quilt, come to your right hand, your left hand column, and click the plus sign. That saves the quilt as it is at your screen at that point. I'm sure I'm seeing Rona shaking her head, so she has probably done this. She has made a change, forgot to hit the plus sign, and then she can't remember how she did it because she's made other changes since that point.
Mhm.
If you keep hitting that plus sign, you can go back and look at all previous
Layouts, yeah.
variations.
That is definitely a beginner's mistake, and I'm glad you pointed that out, Scott, because I can't tell you how many times I've done that. And
just-
before I realized, I was using my phone and I was taking pictures of my screen, and then I was like, wait a minute, duh.
And if you can't, if you're like, oh, I don't remember if I've saved it or not, click it again and it'll tell you, quilt work table quilt is already in sketchbook.
Yeah.
Phew, I can now
Yeah.
make corrections.
Right. And you can also go in now if you wanted to and put blocks in that border that he created.
That's
Yeah.
not my part of the design.
Right. But I don't know if anybody's doing that.
That's Rona, I think, isn't
This
it?
is intro, Miss Nancy, not
that
how
Rona?
to make a very hard, complex Nancy McNally quilt.
Oh,
Scott, do you have any last moments before we move on to Rona's segment?
no, do you have any questions though that came through before it goes to me?
I don't see any at the minute, but I'll probably find some at the end of the show, so don't delete
Okay.
anything.
It's on to you, Rona.
Okay,
Stop share.
hang on.
So, for those of you that have never been in EQ8, that's why I was pointing that out, why Rona's getting her screen up, is seriously, it is, oh my gosh, it's so fun to get in there and play. It
I
really
bet
is.
Nancy and I sometimes will send each other in a day 20 different variations of the same quilt as we make tweaks and edits to that one
Yes.
quilt.
Mhm.
Oh, that is hilarious. I will say, Scott, that one of your friends, Joanna,
Yeah,
she says, I see your moose, Scott, because moose be quilting.
Mhm.
we're in my mom's studio tonight in Colorado.
Uh-huh. Anyway, they are enjoying Mr. Moose behind you.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the design. So Scott went over the layout tab and then the borders tab. And for right now, I'm just gonna leave that standard border in there and I'll get into that one in a minute. So now we're gonna look at the design tab. So this is where you get to have a lot of fun. The very first one up at the top, same thing that you had in the quilts. There's a few of different ones that you can choose from. So the first one is blocks, and this is quite literally your quilt blocks. These are the ones, your blocks that you're going to put into your design. And then fabric tools is Nancy's going to get into that in a few minutes. Auto borders and photos. These are more advanced stuff, but just real quick. So the auto borders, when you have a bigger border, these will automatically populate these different styles that are already separated for you or designed for you. And then photo tools is quite literally where you can take a photo, you can import it, and you can use that photo in your quilt. This is a photo that I took in Europe. So, and then also thread tools is just so you can play around with what kind of threads you want to use to quilt your finished quilt with,
Which is
and
so
see what
fun.
it's going to look like. So for right now, we're going to stick with blocks. And Scott mentioned the sketchbook. So when you first open a new design, the first thing you're going to see is right along this side, there's these 10 blocks that will show up as your default. But if there's other blocks that you want to do, like say you want to add a quilt, but not quite these blocks, you want something else, there's two ways that you can do it. First is your open library. That's this button here. And it's going to come to your EQ block library. So these are all the different types of blocks that EQ comes with. So EQ also has on their website monthly blocks and block bundles that you can purchase, all that kind of stuff. But these are the default ones that it comes to. So you have your classic piece, and in
well-
each, oh, go ahead.
I don't see anything on my screen for the blocks. Does anyone else?
Did it not show up?
We're just in your quilt layout, or
It
you know
just
what I'm
opened
saying?
the
It didn't
library.
open up the library, if that's what you think you did.
I did on my screen. I'm not sure why it's not coming up on that screen.
Go up to the top and see if you can do it from the top. Up there by quilt. Of course, I
Yeah,
can't touch it.
I've got it up. It's not, it's still
Yeah.
not.
It
It's
won't
not-
drop down?
No, it's like, it's
Oh,
almost
you
like
know-
my screen is stalled.
You know what, Rona? I bet you don't have it on share your entire PC. Only on one screen. You're probably only sharing one screen instead of your entire
All right,
PC.
here, let's do this. Let's do this. We're gonna redo this.
All right.
Yeah,
Sounds like a plan.
share the entire computer. And Nancy, now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably what happened on Schoolhouse.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah.
I've done that before in a presentation. I'll just be talking, they'll be like, not seeing what you're seeing. I'm like, it's on my computer, but I failed to share the whole screen.
There.
There now. Now try.
Okay, so now let's open the library. Does it pop up? There we
Yes,
go.
There
it
it
does.
goes.
Yes.
Yay.
Okay. See, and you thought you were gonna screw up, Lisa. It was me.
We're just keeping everybody on their toes tonight.
Okay, so back to where we are. So these are the blocks, the library that it comes up with your default ones. And as you go down the list, there's all different types of blocks that you can play around with. And all you have to do is when you find one that you like, you just click on it to highlight it and hit add to sketchbook, and it will add it to your sketchbook in two places. So I'm going to close this out. And so this on your left hand side, that's the block that I just chose. So it's going to add there. And then also up here on the left side, if you hit the plus sign, or not, sorry, not plus sign, the glasses,
Yeah.
that's also your sketchbook. So you can see what blocks you're working with in two different places. So for this one, I picked these two blocks for two different reasons. So the turnstile, in order to add your blocks to your design here, highlight your design or your block, click on it, and then just click where you want to put it. So you can put it in a few places, or if you hold down the control key, it'll put it in all empty spaces or all spaces. So if you want to, I got it all in here, but I don't actually want them all. I still want just those four. So I'm going to hit the erase, and I'm going to just click in that box where I want to get rid of those. So now I've got these four. So what you can do with your blocks is, like I said, the fabric, you can change the colors and all that stuff, which Nancy will get into, but you can also rotate the blocks. Now, rotating with this block, it's exactly the same. So I'm going to put in this block here where you can see if I hit click on rotate, and then you can see my little mouse on the block. And if I click it, it's going to rotate it. It always rotates clockwise. So each time you click it, it's going to rotate another way around. But then you can also flip it. And so that's the flip here is literally making a mirror image. So if I put these two blocks next to each other and I click on the flip, and I'm going to flip this center, it's going to create a mirror image.
Mm-hmm.
So it literally flips it like if you were to flip it upside down.
Yes,
Basically.
nice.
And then again, you can, rotate, play around, all that kind of stuff. Now, one of the cool things that I like about this also is if you put in all your blocks, there's this thing called symmetry. So I kind of like how these blocks are, but I want to see what they look like if the blocks are all rotated. So if you hit symmetry, it will actually rotate your quilt. Click anywhere in the quilt and it'll rotate rotate your blocks around to see what they look like in different areas.
And in
that's
this instance,
cool.
you get dizzy.
Yeah, that's true. But so let's flip these so that, or sorry, flip these around so they look a little different. Okay, so now we're gonna try that symmetry again. And see how it'll, each time you click, it goes through, it has 16 different presets. So each time you click it, depending on how many blocks you have, it'll keep rotating them into different positions. So you can see how they look with your blocks moved around.
That's cool.
And in case you guys don't realize it, they're out there watching. The purple ones are flipping also, but like Rona said, no matter how you flip those, it's the same thing.
Right. So let's do one that you can actually see that it's moving. So let's put these blocks in here and then these blocks. So now you can do, you can see a little bit better how they're
Excuse me.
moving around, how all the blocks move.
Yeah.
So like I said, you can, it'll run through its 16, each one, 16, there's 16 of them. So once you get to click number 17, you'll be back to where you originally started.
Cool.
Okay, so any questions so far on the blocks?
No, I think you all are good. Keep going. You
Okay.
got 3 minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna do the borders real quick. So like Scott had mentioned, I'm gonna add, let's make this a 6-inch block or 6-inch, whoops, border so you can really see. And I'm gonna put in here blocks. Now, by clicking this, it starts with 3, but I want to put in, I want them to be actually squares. So down here where it says blocks in border, you can add, like Scott was talking about. So now I have 6 plus the 4 corners and they're square. So back to design and back to our set block. So now you can do any kind of block, literally any block that you would use in your regular design, you can put in your border. So you can do just a bunch of half square triangles, or you can even put in your stars. You can do, it just depends on how small you want to make your pieces.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's really what it comes down to.
So
And
Nancy,
as
can you
Lisa
really
says
tiny?
no. I just want to say real quick, Sandra Woods, I do see your question out there and we will get to it. Go ahead, Rona.
Okay, so I'm gonna stick with these because I like them. And what you can do, I really don't like the way that they're in there right now. So I'm gonna rotate them because I want to make them look almost like big half square triangles.
See how quick she is, guys?
So you
That
can,
looks cool.
you can do just about anything with between your rotating and your flipping. You can create all kinds of different designs and definitely play around with it. And like if there's a block that you like, throw a whole bunch of them in there and then flip a few of them or turn a few of them just to see what kind of design that it comes up with, because you never know, you may actually really like it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm excited to play with symmetry. I've never touched that icon.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Look, the experts are learning from the experts. I love it. I love it. Rona, I'm gonna ask this question for Sandra. Any of the 3 of you can answer. And if it's a question we need to leave to the end after Nancy does her segment and come back to it, that is fine too. So Sandra says, how do I bring in a quilt that I'm using from a book or pattern? Who would like to
Oh.
answer that question?
So I can answer that real quick. First of all, if it's for your own private use, you can do that. Generally speaking, there's really no way to just like copy and paste to import it. You would have to build it yourself inside the program. So whatever blocks are there in the quilt design, you would, like I said, you'd have to basically recreate it into EQ. But real quick, one thing that I did forget that goes along with that is if it's not a standard block, like in the library, if it's not one that's in here, you can also create your own. So over here in the right hand side is a block work table. So you can actually edit the blocks you can either design your own or you can edit ones that are already there. And I'm pretty sure that next month when we go deep diving, she'll probably go more into that on how to edit the
Yes.
blocks.
Yes, and since Rona has already spoke about that, keep watching tonight, guys. But next month we're going to have EQ8 Part 2. Everybody tonight is showing you their version in PC world. Next month we have Heather Valentine on. She's going to be doing Part 2. We're going to be looking at her screen, which is from a Mac. She's an Apple user. So there is a few differences, my understanding, between PC users and Mac users in the software. And then also Scott might have mentioned earlier, or maybe Rona, I don't know who did, but about the add-ons that you can do. And we're going to talk about all those add-ons because Miss Heather Valentine has her very own block add-on with EQ8. So lots to come next month. Tonight is definitely intro for sure. Rona, anything real quick before we move over to Miss Nancy? And Sandra, I hope that answered your question. Moral of the story is you can't just go find that pattern and put it EQ8. You have to recreate it. And you do have to remember copyright issues and stuff. Rona, anything before it goes to Scott?
Nope, I think, but we can go to Nancy.
Nancy, sorry. I'm putting Scott back on the block.
Yeah. He's here.
Kathy Welch says this looks like a whole lot of fun. Anybody want to comment on that?
It is a lot of
100%.
fun, Kathy.
It is.
Yes,
It is.
a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Okay, Miss Nancy, time for your segment. Take it away, my friend.
All right, let's see if it's going to work. Let me find my mouse. There we go. All right, here we go.
It is a rabbit trail for sure.
It really is. Okay, oops. Is it full screen? Because it's
not.
Okay, let me find why is it not full screen? Hold on, let me just stop sharing and I'll do it again. Sorry.
Hey, at least I'm not the only one. I feel better now.
There's just something about, Okay,
Hey, Rona, tonight I haven't fallen out of the room or disconnected us or.
There we go. Okay, I had to find it so that I could blow it back up so it was full screen. Okay, now I can do it. Okay, dokies. All right, so does everybody see it looks like I drew a block?
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
work table? Okay, so what I am on is the block work table, and I'm gonna there we go. Okay, so over in the top right-hand side of your screen, it says block work table. So I have set my block size to 12 by 12, and all of the numbers that you see across that, like right above the little graph paper, that's like another whole discussion, but I've set it at 12 inches by 12 inches finished, and that's what we talked about earlier. So I've drawn the block. It's a basic block. Now we're going to go color it. So I'm going to click on the color tab, which is on the top of the screen. And so EQ8 comes with a set of default colors. So there's fabrics, and I'm going to make this look, there we go. So you can see more. Now you guys can see more fabrics. So these are the printed designs, printed fabrics. And then there's, as you can see, fabrics. Then there's the color tab. Now, Scott knows that I design in solids, and this one looks kind of odd right now. So what I like to do is I start out in designing solids. So the color tab is all solid fabrics. And honestly, I think it's all Kona solids. I think that's what it is.
Is it 365 Konas?
Yeah. And those are default. Now, with fabrics, there is a fabric library, and so you can change that. And my cat has entered the room. I just saw something move out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, what was that? So, okay, now back on the topic. So there is, like Rona showed you, there's a block library, and then Scott was showing you borders, and so was Rona. There's a fabric library. And remember, Scott had told us about his fabric collection that is now available. It's a free download.
Yes.
EQ8 comes with, I honestly don't know how many different lines of fabric that are included in the program. And then Scott or Rona, correct me, it's either monthly they offer a free one. I
Monthly.
think it's, yeah. And
Yeah,
so,
monthly.
and it's free. You just go download it and import it. And it's not difficult. There's step-by-step instructions on how to import all the different fabrics. And I cannot get to the library because of the screen that's going across the top with our Zoom right here. I can't get to the library unless I lower. It won't let me. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, it won't let me because it's got everything going across the top.
Because our Brady Bunch faces is up here.
You should be able to, can you click on the sunglasses?
The sunglasses,
The glasses? Oh, yeah, over on the
The red-
left-hand side,
Oh.
the little book with the glasses.
the sketchbook.
Yeah, that should open it up, right?
No, it's
You
the
want to show all the fabrics.
yeah.
all of them.
Because I
Okay,
was
I'm
going to
sorry.
do the
Never
drop
mind.
down menu, and I didn't
Yes.
realize that was part of my presentation. I didn't realize
got
the bar from the Zoom is from Zoom is going across. It's covering it. Oh, wait a minute. I have an idea. Let's see.
Because you should be able to move the Zoom bar down. I
Yeah,
think.
it won't let me. I was going to try to shrink it and it won't let me move it or anything. Okay, so let's color in this block and it's telling me to stop it. Why is it doing all that? Do you guys hear that?
We hear it
I wonder why it's doing that.
because you've got something open that you need to close. Meanwhile,
I know, for real. Oh, my computer hates me. All right, I was going to try to close EQ8 and it won't let me. Okay. It's not letting me do anything. So
can you go over to the fabrics tab or will it not let you do that?
it's not letting me do it. Okay, so I'll just talk through it. So you can see there are some colors on the screen. You can click on the colors that you want, and there is a bar. If you follow my mouse on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a bar at the bottom, and it won't let me. And you can scroll through, like Scott said, it's like 365 colors. Is that a color a day? 365? Something like that? Anyway.
Nancy, do you want Scott or Rona to pull theirs up so they can click as you tell them to click? Will that make it easier for you?
Well,
Can
then,
you, if you can cancel her out, Lisa, from your side,
yeah.
then I can do that.
Okay. All right. I'll stop screen sharing. Okay. And then Scott can do it.
Yep.
There we go. All right. Let me know when you got one up, Scott.
We will get a block here.
Just like in sewing, you just improvise.
I know. We just run with it.
We do run with
Exactly.
it.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Give me a second here.
Modern technology. While you're doing that, we do
Okay.
have a question that I will pull up. Hold you on.
Okay, I'm ready.
You're ready? Okay.
And I can get the drop down library for the fabrics for you, Nancy.
Oh, there
Okay.
it goes. Yeah. Okay. So what, Scott, go back up to close out of that so we can tell them how to get to it. Okay. Go to the top of your screen where it says libraries, click on libraries, and then it says block and then fabric library. So click on that. And then you'll notice at the very top, it says default palette. And that's when you first open up EQ8, those are the default colors, fabric colors that are in there. And you can also change the, yeah, like Scott is doing, the different sizes so that you either have small little thumbnails of each of them or images, or you can go big. Go big. There you go. And use the bar to scroll through to see all the different fabrics. And you can, all you have to do is click on the one you want when you're coloring a block, and you can color the block in. But here, we don't want to add, oh, sidetrack me, Scott. So as he scrolls down, you can see that there's all these different categories. as he, oh, those are pretty. See, that's pretty stuff, and you're putting right in front of my face. Go down, Scott, keep going down. Okay, now go to where it says 20, Scott, where it says 2024 fabric of the month. Oh, you don't have any? Open it up, please.
Yep.
There it is. Let's show Scott's fabric.
Yay!
Yay,
Yummy.
there it is. Can you make them smaller so we can see them? Okay, go the next one up. Next one. Yeah, that's a better view. So if everybody noticed, he was clicking the little squares that were right below the images, and that allows you to have more or less on the screen of the fabrics. And that is Scott's third fabric line, second fabric line. Quilting is my voice. So that is the free download this month for EQ8, the fabric library. I just love it. So in order to add those, you can either select all fabrics and then you go add to sketchbook, and it imports all of it into your fabric sketchbook. If you only wanted a few, then you would just point and add that one to the sketchbook. It's really, really easy to do. So let's close out of that, Scott. Now, where it adds those fabrics is into the fabric, under the fabric tab. Yes. And if you want to, there you go. Thank you. So let's color this Ohio star that he has up here. So Scott colors things, I'm going to say kind of like me. We always choose a light background or a cream background. So Scott, you choose the one you want. And then go click the spots in the block, and it will color those in for you. Is that the line that says quilting is my voice? Yeah,
This
there
is
it's
quilting
right there.
is my voice.
That's so cool. Okay, and then no, I meant like it has the words on that fabric.
Oh,
It does. Yeah, right there.
yep.
Okay, so now let's choose. Scott, is there a teal?
No,
Oh,
I've
I
got
like that orange one. Where'd that orange go?
well, there's that one.
Yes. Ooh, I like that one too. That one. Okay, yes, do those in the in the orange. And so he just clicks and that fabric appears. Now, before you do anything else, go up to fussy cut, Scott. Okay, and now hover over the ones you just put in. Just pick one, and you can click and move the fabric. So if you're wanting to see a particular motif that's in the fabric or make each one look different, you have that option, because that's what it's like when you're really making a quilt. You don't have the exact same thing show up. So there's that feature. Now let's finish coloring our star points, our quarter square triangle.
I've never used that feature, Nancy. Thanks for pointing that
You're
out.
welcome.
I've
And
seen
then-
it, but I haven't played with it. So that's cool.
There you go. Okay, and then let's go to back to your fabrics. Thank you. So the paintbrush. And then I know, is there like a teal or a smoky? Yes. Ooh.
That's beautiful.
Yes. All right, let's do the star points on those, please. And he just clicks them and moves around. And now let's pick another color every other one. So each star point on the right has a different color. Yes, perfect. Sweet. Now let's pick a color for the very center. Try that one. Ooh, that changed it. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So once again, everybody that's watching, do you see the rabbit trail?
And I see one more thing. Okay, go get the fabric that we use the fussy cut with. Can you show them how to use the eyedropper? So click the eyedropper. Now click on that fabric. Click that. And now that it's going to use, it makes it your paintbrush. So, oh no. Go back. Okay, now click the star point on the right. Do each one of those on the right. Okay, now do one more step for me and go over to the side, the left side, where you can take the seam lines out. That button right there, yes. And so I often do that so that I can step back and not see a break in the fabric.
Right.
And like, this looks like a friendship star with another friendship star behind it, but it's going in the opposite direction. So let's go back and color that, the red star points, where you had it, the color that you did have before. Yeah, it was that gray, wasn't it?
Mhm.
There it goes. Okay. So let's say that, can we say that to the sketchbook, Scott?
Done.
Okay. Can you go get your layout that you did for Quilt Babble and open that up?
Oh,
So you go to your quilts tab. So for those of you who you got to go to the up there. Of course, you can't see where I'm pointing at.
Just up there, up
You know,
there.
it's up there. There it is. Bring the Quilt Babble up. Okay, open that up. Okay, so now let's go get, oh shoot.
You didn't
Let's-
save the block, right?
Well, it's in another project. So let's go get the Ohio Star block again.
It's
I
right
know
there.
he's wanting to do the other thing, but go ahead and put the Ohio. No. Stay on the quilt work table. Go
Okay.
back to the quilt work table. Get the
Oh,
Ohio
it's-
Star and put the Ohio Star in each block. Okay. All right. So then I do want you to download your fabrics into this one if you can quickly, because there's something fun I want to show. There it is. So he just did that really fast. Now we're going to color it the same as we did before. Hold the control down so you can do all of them.
All of them at once. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. And go get the next color. Yes.
and
All
I'm
right,
holding the
so-
control key down while I'm doing this.
Yes. And
Yes.
that as you notice, it's coloring all the blocks. Now let's go. I want you to put your cream in that center and then use no,
That's the center, Nancy.
I know, but it was the other cream and he can't see where I'm pointing. You know, Scott,
It's a game.
that
for somebody
one.
to
Thank
put their
you.
hands-
I love that one. I love
I was
that
gonna
one.
say that's one of my favorites.
Yes. Okay. Now go get your, yes, that one, the one that has the words, and then color all the white spaces in
Are you going
of the
to,
block.
are you going to show the spray can?
Yes, that's what I was
Yes.
gonna say.
Go
Show the
ahead. Do the
can.
spray can. There you go. And
Oh.
see how it colored all of them in at once?
When I did I held the control down.
Yes. And
I
it
did.
colored all those spaces in. Yeah. Very nice. Now go grab that reddish orange again and make that the cornerstones. You're getting there. It's right there.
Up on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
that
your,
one.
and Nancy, I was getting ready to do like you. I was gonna point to the screen. I'd be like,
It's right
see
there."
everybody, the fabrics he just used, they're easily accessed.
They're right there. Okay,
Can't
do
see
all
my
the
fingers.
cornerstones. Okay, and so now that favorite background that Lisa and I both like that's in the center,
Yes.
put that in the sashing. Okay, and put it in the first, the inner border.
Yes.
Okay, and then choose one of the darker colors to go in the outer border, and then we're going to do a fun thing.
And we are only have a few minutes left, so
Okay, all right. So now go to randomize, which is below the eyedropper. Don't change any of the hues or anything. Where did it go? Go back to randomize. Okay. Leave the numbers that are there. Now go hover over the quilt and now click with the wand and see what it did. Keep clicking, Scott. And it goes to solids, but it gives you options in different hues. And so just like we did the, what was it? The
Symmetry.
symmetry. Yes. Oh, I like that one.
it's like Glinda's wand from Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Okay, guys, we literally, I cannot believe we are already at 7:54. So we only
Oh
have
my
a few
goodness.
minutes. Let me get some questions from some people.
Okay.
Whoever wants to chime in and answer, please feel free to do so. Scott, you may want to leave your screen share up in case we need
Okay.
to show something. Okay, you may have already answered this. Sandra says, how do I find a Pacific collection or fabric by designer or vendor?
It all depends.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
So great thing is even if Electric Quilt doesn't have the collection as one of their free downloads, a lot of the fabric companies, if you go to their website, you can download their thumbnails for whatever collection you want from their website.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if I remember correctly, and I haven't done it in a long time, but you can also, if you're pulling fabric out of your stash, wasn't there a way that you could take a picture of that fabric and put it into scale?
Yes.
You
I see
can
Rona
import it as a
shaking her head,
picture, right?
yes.
Yeah, you just have to shrink the image down because when you take a picture with your phone, the JPEG or the size of it is really big. So you just have to shrink it down in size if you know how to do that, and then you can import it like you would any other image of a fabririt.
That's
Yeah,
what I
I
thought.
think it can only be 72 in the is it the resolution can only be 72?
DPI or whatever.
Something like that.
Yes. Yeah. I'd have
Okay.
to look it up.
Miss Terry Lynch says, when you're done with your pattern, does it print out the cutting instructions?
I didn't get to do
Yes.
that. Yes. Sorry.
Yes,
Okay,
I got
we may
excited.
go over 8 o'clock just by a couple minutes.
Okay,
Scott,
so
do you want to,
Yes,
let
Scott,
Nancy walk you through her that?
okay,
Just real quick.
go to Scott, go to print. Well, did you save it? I don't remember if we saved it.
Yes, I did. Well, I
Okay.
saved my, we'll go back to this.
Okay. Yeah, oh, thank you. Okay,
Print.
go to
Okay.
print. So, oh, you're on the print tab. Okay, now the following things show up, and this is wonderful. You can print actually a quilt where it says quilt and the little blue images above it. You can picture or you can print that quilt that is on your screen, and it looks just like that. And you can name it, and it'll print out. And it also tells you the file at the bottom of the printout. It tells you the file or that you named in EQ8. It'll tell you so that you remember where I saved it at. And you can also, or it also includes the size, the measurement of the quilt, and of course the name. Now, if you want to know the yardage, it tells you yardage. So Scott, show us that. Yeah, this is in yardage, not in fat quarters. We have that also. So do preview. There you go. And so right there, you'll see it tells you exactly. Thank you, Scott. It tells you the fabric. It shows a little image of it. It tells you the number of patches, the yardage, and then it even tells you the name of the fabric line as I'm reaching to touch the screen to show you.
I know. And I will say it is saying the fabric name because that is one of the ones that EQ8 has out there. If you bring in your collection, let's say you pull one from Moda, it's not going to give you those names because it's not
Right.
pre-programmed into EQ8.
Right.
Yes,
right.
it will.
It will?
It depends on how they label it. If they just label it
Yes.
U1, but
Oh,
Moda's good
okay.
about using their,
Yes,
Right.
Moda's good about their SKU, but it typically will not have the fabric collection
no.
name. And I use Moda as an example because Moda is fabulous with their fabric swatches in that regard. Some of the other fabric companies, it may not be labeled with the appropriate SKU or whatever. That's a good point out, Scott.
All right.
Okay.
So
quick-
there's one more thing for her
Okay.
question. Scott, click on a block. Now go to rotary cutting
Yes.
and preview it. And so it shows you, mine doesn't look like that.
Mine looks like that.
Mine
Mine
looks
does not
like
look like
that.
that.
Yours doesn't look like that, Nancy.
Mine looks different. The block is at the top of the page, the color block. And then the little image of the
size of
where
the-
it's labeled, that's smaller.
My laptop is messed with, if I screwed up settings on my laptop, so that could be me.
No, mine looks like this.
Well, I'm jealous. I want mine to look like that.
It's the settings. You can change the settings.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, there you go, guys.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, it shows you what to cut and how much and everything.
Okay,
So
so Scott,
I
you can get out
think-
of that.
Robin had a question. She says, how do we get cutting dimensions from this work? I think this answered that question for her.
Yeah.
I think
I'd
Steph
like-
is saying to you, Scott, that you're the Harry Potter of quilts. I'm just saying.
I'd
let's
like to say something quick though.
Yeah.
This will give you your patches
Mhm,
and the number of units you need.
mhm.
You have to be able to figure out how to sew the block together.
That's right.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, it's
This
if
is all you're
somebody's
gonna get is what you're seeing.
Right.
yeah, if somebody's wanting to get into pattern design, they do need to realize that EQ8 gets you so far.
Right.
Correct?
Mhm.
You
Right.
have to know how to write out your instructions per block, per whatever you're doing. It's not going to write that out. And I do think that was someone's question in there. Joanna says, this has been so fun to see the software at work. Sharon Ryle says, you all have blown my mind. I'm assuming these are all good inspirational things. Terry Lynch says, wow, amazing. Sandra comes back and says, this has been great. She said, I've had EQ8 for a while, but got confused and quit. Just needed to
Aw.
practice. So cool. And that she was glad that she watched, and she wanted to thank the three of you guys for going through. Beverly says, own fabric to,
Put into the design.
I think that's what she's saying. Own fabric to out into design how?
So
I think
you
she's
have to
asking how
take
to
a
put.
picture or scan it and then import the fabric.
Like we were
Yeah.
talking about out of the stash. Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of, you know what else? This book would help the beginners. It's fantastic. So this is the
Drop
EQ8
screen
drawing
share real
blocks.
quick. So
What's
Nancy
that?
can throw that up. 1 second, Nancy.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
go ahead, Nancy.
There you go. So this block or this book, and then there's a beginner's block that beginner's book that is a great help. This is all about drawing blocks, and I always refer to it if I get lost on something, but it's a great book for beginners. And they have their books and can I show the inside of this book? Because it's
Maybe not.
I'm not
okay.
sure.
Copyright
Yeah.
So real quick though, for
front or back.
I think what she's asking is how to import the fabrics. Without sharing screens, but just real quick, where we went for the fabrics to bring up the fabric library,
Yep.
then that there's a little tab in there that says import. And that's where you click on that, and that's where you can import the files or the images or the pictures that you take of your fabrics.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Kathy says this has my wheels turning. I want to take a survey like next week and be like, okay, for those of you that had EQ8 and let the dust settle on it, who dusted it off and went down the rabbit hole? That's
Oh yes. I want to see the creativity. Like that's my
There you
favorite
go.
thing.
Mhm.
Yes.
So if Kathy's who I think it is, I'll see
Yeah.
if Moose be quilting. So hopefully he'll show me something.
Oh, there you go.
Welsh, I think is her last name, Wesch.
If it's Kathy Wesh that I'm thinking, I'll see her tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
There
very
you go.
cool.
Rona Beverly said, thanks about answering that importing her own fabric. She said you did answer that.
Okay.
I think I've got all of the questions answered. If I miss somebody, I'm sorry. Steve is normally here and he takes your questions and put them in our chat for us. But yeah, he's not here. He's sick, so we're winging it. Guys, we are so sorry that we went over. Don't forget next month for Quilt Babble Live. It's always the third Tuesday of the month. We will have Heather Valentine here, and she's going to give you the Mac view of EQ8. And then we are going to be talking about some of those add-ons, and I'm sure we'll get into, like Rona said, even deeper than this intro that we've done tonight. Before we leave, everybody tell us what you want all of the viewers to know. Where are you going to be? How can they find you and all of that? Scott, let's talk about your Moose Be Quilting in the back. And what's he all about and how can they find you?
So Moose is one of my popular patterns out in Quilt Maker magazine right now. The pattern is called Moose Be Quilting. It's a large central moose with 12 smaller moose surrounding him. He's quite adorable. I'm doing a retreat in Colorado the next 3 days based on this project, so people can come sew with me, work on their moose, and get help. And you can find me at 4th and Main Designs on Facebook.
Absolutely. Speaking of retreats, Osage Hills Retreat said, enjoy tonight and looking forward to the Mac version next month. And speaking of Osage, don't you have something going on, Rona, at Osage that if somebody wants to get in, they can?
I do, as a matter of fact. So my newest, well, one of the quilts, Stonehenge, that's from the upcoming book and the YouTube show that has already started for the London and Scotland episodes. London is airing now, or England, I should say, is airing now. So the Stonehenge quilt we're going to be making at 2 retreats. North Carolina retreat is full, but there is a wait list. And then Osage, we still have 2 spots. They almost got filled, but luckily, well, I don't know about luckily, but they ended up not being able to confirm. So we still have those 2 spots. That's it. That's left for the Oklahoma retreat to make that Stonehenge quilt. So all the information is on my website, ronatheribiter.com.
That's what I was going to say. How can they find it? Okay, perfect. So 2 slots left to go retreat with Miss Rona at Osage. And remind me, I always say her name wrong, Melissa at
Yep.
Osage. She was on one of our Quilt Babbles before, speaking
About
of
retreats?
retreats
the
and
retreat.
stuff. And yeah, go check her out. And that place you're going, Rona, is absolutely amazing. It's a great
Oh,
place
yeah.
for a retreat.
We're going to
So
have a blast. It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
so Miss Nancy, tell everybody what you got up and coming and where they can find you.
Well, actually, I leave Monday and I'm going to go to Battle Creek, Michigan. And I've been watching the weather because I'm always afraid I'm going to have to drive in winter weather. And this Carolina girl that lives in Michigan does not like winter weather at all. So I'll be presenting at the Guild there. And then actually in mid-March, I'm going on retreat in Myrtle Beach. And it's a fun retreat. It's not a teaching. I get to go and just have fun. So it's an awfully long drive from Goodrich, Michigan, all the way to Myrtle Beach. I think it's going to take us like 15 hours to get there. And I'm just like, please don't make me do this.
No quilting retreat. It's too far away.
Oh, it's a long
Amen,
drive.
sister. Yes.
What's that? What's that?
I said,
I said amen.
She said
Amen.
amen to no quilting retreat is too far away.
Well, I think I should stop in Rock Hill on my way down. If I wasn't riding with a group of ladies going the opposite direction of Rock Hill.
Well, I mean, I'm on the way. Indiana's on the way. I'm just saying.
Sure, you're west. I'm heading east last time I checked.
I absolutely love it. Melissa, give me a smiley face from Osage because I actually got her name right because I always call her Michelle.
Yay.
So kudos for Lisa tonight. Kathy said Scott lives for snow. Well, good for Scott.
Yes,
I thought all
he
about
does.
it. As you guys know, I'm the shop owner of SewEndipitious here in Rock Hill. So you guys can find me. If you are loving Scott's fabric, go on SewEndipitious.com. Look for Quilting is my voice and grab up some of those yummies. It is going quick for sure. Miss Heather chimed in, guys, and she said, or
Hey.
Charlotte. So she's been watching tonight.
Hey, Heather.
She's going to be
Hi,
here
Heather.
next month. Everybody, we are so sorry that we kept you 8 minutes over, but I feel like this panel of experts could have kept going for another hour and just scrape the surface of this amazing software.
Yes.
And like we said, next month, Miss Heather Valentine will take us a little bit deeper. Rona, anything you'd like to say, my dear partner, before we leave?
No, just that if you do get into EQ, like I said, it's great, not just for pattern designers, but just everyday quilters wanting to play around with blocks and colors and shapes. It's just a ton of fun. And if you do, I want to see what you make. Like, I'm serious. Put comments, send me messages, put them in the Sewendipitious group, Traveling Quilters group. I love to see what you guys create.
Absolutely. Post in Quilt Babble live with Lisa and Rona. Post them to Scott, post them to Nancy. They will share the love with all of us. And for tonight, guys, we thank you so much. And we will see you next month for part 2 of EQ8. Scott, Nancy, thanks for being here with me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night, guys.